A big welcome to Big Talk here on Global Television as we take on some political issues today. Today, the chairman of Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, has met with the political leaders and has urged members of the political parties to adhere strictly to the Commission's guidelines ahead of the Edo and Ondo half-cycle elections. He started this at the meeting with INEC, with political parties at the INEC headquarters in Abuja. We'll be exploring some of the issues that were raised by some members of the political parties, the chairman and the secretary of about 18 political parties who were in attendance at the consultative meeting. This is in a bid to pre-review the past elections of INEC and, of course, looking forward for the upcoming Ondo and Edo state elections. I'll be joined by former presidential aspirant of ADC, of course, who will be joining us to discuss the issues of the political parties and what INEC has in place to ahead of the Edo and Ondo state election. Shortly after this break, I'll be speaking with my guests to stay with us. To join me for the discussion is Dr. Chike Ogogu, who is a former presidential aspirant of the African Democratic Congress, ADC political party. And of course, will be joining us via Zoom to express some of these INEC guidelines that INEC have also urged members of the political parties to adhere strictly to ahead of the elections of Edo and Ondo state election. But before we dwell into the discussion, let's take a watch at what the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, said earlier today.
The quarterly consultative meeting, which focuses on the off-cycle governorship elections in Edo and Ondo states, scheduled for September 21st and November 16 respectively, had representatives of the 18 political parties. Yakubu, in his address, reiterated to party leaders the need to continue to maintain law and order during the electioneering process and beyond.
As we inch closer to election day in Edo State, it is also imperative to remind political parties of the need to adhere strictly to the timeline for the upload of the list of polling and collation agents to the dedicated portal. Doing so will enable the Commission to produce and deliver the identity cards in good time for the expected 76,823 polling unit agents and 3,587 ward, local government and state collation agents.
He said the Commission has already published a final list of candidates for Edo State governorship election following the conclusion of party primaries.
The Commission has already published the final list of candidates for the Edo State governorship election following the conclusion of party primaries and the end of the period for withdrawal and substitution of candidates as provided in the timetable and schedule of activities for the election.
The chairman, Inter-Party Advisory Council, Yusuf Dantele, on behalf of the political leaders, advised the Commission to conduct free, fair, and credible elections.
Our hard-earned democracy must be sustained. It should not be allowed to derail by the activities of anti-democratic and reactionary forces. INEC, leaders of political parties, civil society organizations, security agencies, the judiciary, the press, and citizens must be firm and decisive in protecting the nation's democracy and forestall political occupants.
As elections
Many thanks for watching that. That is a reaction by both the IPAC chairman, of course, who was speaking on behalf of the political leaders, and the chairman, Professor Mahmood, in reacting to some of the guidelines of the commission ahead of the Edo and Ondo state elections. Dr. Chike is here, who is the founder Center for Ability Rehabilitation Empowerment and the former presidential aspirant of ADC in the last presidential election. Good to have you join us, Doctor. In a bid to get your reaction to the preparation of Edo and Ondo state election, INEC held a meeting with some political leaders. It happens that you are not there, but in a way of getting the confidence of political parties to participate in this election, do you feel that INEC are still on course to get in Nigeria good democracy that we are yearning for?
I say yes. And all of us must be optimists. I think Nigeria is 60, going to be 64 democratic nation. No, Nigeria is actually 20 democratic nation, because all the while we kept starting to do it right. But see, we'll keep making mistakes until we get it right. It happens like that. I believe that over time, INEC will get it right. Of course, the populace.
All right, Doctor. Thank you for that assertion. We do hope that INEC will definitely get it right as they get to prepare for the Edo on the state election. But what are those highlights you feel that must be paid attention to? I understand that they have other guidelines to guide the elections, but what are those things that exclusively, you've been a party member, you've played the politics in the party, you understand the expectation of both the smaller party and what we call the bigger parties or the main opposition parties. What do you feel are those things that are not in any way in place to, further enhance good participations in the election?
Money, money, money.
On whose part?
Money. The reason why I say money, money, money is because the parties who have succeeded in getting into the political space successfully have had access to our national till, and that is where they get money. So when you say big political parties, it is because those ones have had access to our collective resources so that they can fund. The other thing now is, you mentioned guidelines. INEC has released a lot of guidelines, including a guideline for persons with disabilities and with disabilities. But here is my take. Some guidelines by INEC are not respected. The reason being that, the reason why those guidelines are not respected is because people don't see they see it as INEC's suggestion, which is kind of, most of the tribunals, have concluded, look at the all said and done, people expected that card reader way of checkmating political parties. And that says that even though the card reader is a suggestion that the card reader could not even be used to but as we go into this next phase of constitutional amendment, I come out, participate, submit. I'm sure we have submitted, and I'm sure I'm going to be one of those canvassing that I become electoral laws. Because when it is done in the new electoral, we'll be able to have the kind of elections we desire to have as a nation. So our politics is evolving. It is growing. I believe in it. We will make mistakes. I have lost. But one day we will all win. And we will win to have the kind of Nigeria that we desire.
All right, let's take a look at the 2023 election. It seems we had good number of turnouts for the election. I mean, prior to other elections we've ever had. What will you say, according to your assessment, was the reason for that turnout of election? And do you feel that the confidence of those who came out of the election have been well restored in respect to electoral umpires as we get to prepare for other elections?
Far from it. INEC dropped the ball. In fact, INEC dropped the ball, moved the goalpost in the middle of the game. People will say, "Oh, why are we blaming INEC?" I mean, everything that they needed to succeed, they were given, including financial resources. INEC had no reason to drop the ball, and it was because INEC dropped the ball that bolstered the arrogance of many people, of the ne'er-do-wells, who took advantage of INEC's faltering, to perpetrate the kind of act that they did. People have lost disillusion. INEC has not even come out to work hard to win the confidence of Nigerians. But I tell you, let's keep watching. We are in the game. We will keep setting, get to the point where it conforms to the kind of electoral practices that Nigeria desires. But for now, people are disillusioned. I plead with them not to lose hope. In another 3 years, we'll go back to the field again, and we'll do it right. But in between, please, I beg everyone listening, come out and participate in the amendment of the Electoral Constitution, which the Electoral Act is also part of what is going to be amended. Let's talk about it and let's design what is better for us. The Nigerian problem will have Nigerian solution. That is my take on that. But INEC needs to win people back. That's their job to do.
All right, let me take your mind to what is happening in Rivers State regarding the politics of cross-carpeting. It seems that it's taken another dimension, another shape, where issues of cross-carpeting is not easy again to cross-carpet after a particular party have elected you into office. In the Rivers State, members who defected from PDP to APC have been asked by the court to stay away from the House of Assembly. What is your reaction to issues on politics of cross-carpeting by some political parties? I mean, some political supporters who sometimes are not in any way due to party internal politics, who may deviate from party internal politics.
Well, you see, Rivers is the special case. If you don't understand the politics of Rivers State, it is not good to speak about it. But what I will say, I will answer that in different silos according to the silos that exist. There is a silo of those who left the party, and the law. Well, there are Supreme Court judgment on that. And I leave that to the law courts to decide at the Supreme Court level whether the lawmakers who left are right or not. On the part of the governor and his godfather, I believe that there are still chances that they can mend their offense. I call upon the leaders of Rivers State, instead of picking tents and picking sides, and then the Rivers people end up losing, I think it is important that both sides, the two men should lock themselves up in a room and talk to each other. Nobody has come to tell us what is the underlying factor that is causing the problem. And if the law says, again, I repeat, that if you cross carpet, you lose your seat, and there are antecedents because it is dependent on certain factors. I recall, if I'm not a lawyer, but from my political understanding as a political scientist, that if you cross carpet, there are certain conditions, whether there is and all that. Have they been able to add to the law courts to decide? I see the matter get, as long as the matter will be in court, the people of River, there will be no progress in River State, because today is 3-man lawyer has for justice or approve the appointment of the commission. But again, a state.
All right. I mean, as we begin to round up on the program, talk about the issues of calming down the tension in the streets. I mean, if you ask a common Nigerian what he thinks of the election, I mean, he sometimes lose confidence completely of the commission and the fact that elections in Nigeria are not free and fair. That is the common thing you may hear from the street. And I may begin to ask, what do you think that the commission can do to restore confidence? And of course, because even after you've reviewed electoral guidelines, you've had the electoral acts totally torn down, totally reviewed, we still have the commission to face with to conduct election for Nigerians. And Nigerians are now sometimes even losing faith on what you have at this guideline, but about people who are in the commission. And of course, do you feel that the INEC has a role to play in regarding calming the tensions in the street, where common Nigerians are expecting a lot from INEC, and the fact that INEC did not do well in 2023?
Yes, I totally agree that INEC has a lot of work to do to correct, to repair their dented and battered image as a result of the last elections. They have a lot of work to do to win back Nigerians. And this work can be, this winning back can start from how they conduct the next series of elections in Ondo and Edo states. Let us see how they, is it Ondo or which state? Yes, Ondo and Edo states are the next set of elections. How they conduct that will determine how they win Nigerians. But INEC has a lot of work indeed to win back Nigerians. Nigerians are disillusioned about electoral results and electoral practices in Nigeria. Elections, there is no confidence in INEC. The polls have shown that belief in INEC and trust in INEC has dipped to its lowest ebb. I am in the civil society and I know what I'm talking about. INEC has lost the confidence of people and they have to do a lot of work to win it back.
All right. Taking the last question, it seems that INEC are also pushing some blame to political parties in regarding some litigations in court sometimes are due to the internal primaries conductions and all of that. It seems these as over times have been distracting INEC from carrying out the exercise completely. What do you think are the role of the political parties in getting, I mean, of course, and giving the environment conducive for the commissions to conduct elections? Because sometimes we get to face a lot of, see a lot of litigation. This one taking this one to court after the party primaries. Sometimes the party primaries are not conducted before, at the presence of INEC officials. All of these has also generated some concern for INEC. What, according to your assessment, are the way forward for the political parties in giving some time support to what INEC are doing?
Okay, in answering that, I'll give you an analogy. It's a funny one, but it's a reality. When there is a trailer carrying petrol involved in an accident, what do you see Nigerians do? They go there to scramble for fuel. And oftentimes the thing will explode and many lives will be lost. So the question to now ask is, who do you blame? Is it the government that did not fix the roads that caused the accident? Is it the hunger in the land that led the people to start stealing? So is it that? Those are the questions we keep asking. So bringing it back to INEC, if INEC does the right thing and people know that they cannot circumvent, and this law, it needs to be set by you and I, then politicians cannot take advantage of this situation and they result in litigation. INEC opened the gates for litigation. Look at, in some cases, candidates, the rules are clear as to how to conduct primaries. And if the parties follow the primaries and follow the rules of primaries, you shouldn't have an issue over who emerges as candidate. What do the politicians do? They end up throwing spanners into the works, causing crises, shooting, doing all sorts of things. Politicians will always be politicians. They are a bad example in Nigeria. The political class in Nigeria, yes, I totally agree with INEC that they are not a shining example to emulate. But INEC themselves have to set the rules, the ground rules, and follow through with their rules. Here's another analogy. When you go to the UK or when you're traveling out of the country, at the Nigerian airport, you must follow the immigration. If you do not pass through that channel, it is impossible for you to arrive at the airport and beat the system in such a manner that you will enter an aircraft, an international flight, you passing through immigration and stamping your passport. Why is that so? And everybody must be forced to follow those rules. And even if you don't, you cannot board the... Why is it that when we go out of the country, we behave like those people well, and when we come to our country, no consequences for bad behavior? So in the new Electoral Act, INEC should also push for punishment for certain electoral malpractices. And until we get that done, when people are punished, sent to jail, and they know that it is a taboo to do certain things, and it is bad because it will come with consequences, then we will be doing the right thing. But right now, certain things happen during elections, and nobody gets punished. And when there is no punishment for an offense, why won't people commit it? That is why the political class keeps misbehaving. Tell the political class that, let them know that there will be jail terms and all, for vote buying. Nobody will go into it again. You understand? So, but for as long as there is no consequence for bad behavior in Nigeria, malpractice and malfeasance will continue, and that's what is happening in INEC. and
All right,
elections.
just a quick one. You are one of those advocating for equalization for persons with disabilities. I understand the work and of some of the jobs you've carried out with the organization. Has this really yielded a lot of result, and of course, has this reflected on what your organizations and what other, the prescribed in the act really stand for? Has this really been the evidence of what it really meant to be?
Yes, it's all, so far we are not where we want to be, but we're definitely not where we used to be. INEC has done a good job by recognizing the rights of persons with disabilities. I must give that to INEC. But again, because the political parties are politicians, INEC has guidelines for political inclusion of persons with disabilities. Recall I said it is guidelines. Until it becomes a law to the political parties, then how to maintain those guidelines. Let us turn those. On the other side, political inclusion is a matter of right, because that is the SDG goes. It is also enshrined in all I have signed: the African Charter, the United Nations Convention on the Protection of the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. So until disability and electoral participation and inclusion is treated as a matter of right, we will not get it right. And that's what we're pushing for in this new electoral amendment that is going to start pretty soon. Like I said earlier, we're not where we used to be, but we're definitely not. We're not where we want to be, but we're definitely not where we used to be. It's a work in progress.
Many thanks, Dr. Chike, the former presidential aspirant of LDC and the founder Center for Ability and Rehabilitation and Empowerment, for joining us on the program tonight. And that's the package we have it on the Big Talk. Of course, I would deeply appreciate your time. And of course, your listening here is to the program. We'll be bringing you more top political conversations, and of course, in the course of the week, as we're taking a look at some development, especially in Rivers State politics, where we'll be exploring what are the way forward for the House of Assembly. It seems that the 4 members do not form the quota to run the House of Assembly. Some of these reactions will be top of a discussion tomorrow on the program Big Talk. My name is Edikan Michael. Time for staying. God bless Nigeria.